poppin'. Wanna know anything on topic? I know it because I read an op-ed. I'm an expert on the subject. All right, we're going to update you on everything that is going on with our ships. In fact, we covered last week, actually, we've been covering for the last 2 weeks of where they've been going, where they were supposedly were, and there were some surprises in there as far as ships being in the Red Sea when they weren't supposed to. Essentially, the whole conflict is surrounded now by U.S. ships. But now an update on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower is now in the Mediterranean Sea and the Bataan ARG in the Red Sea. So you have the Mediterranean and the Red Sea on the other sides of the outlets, and they're loaded up and ready to go. It says that the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group is headed towards the massive U.S. naval power in the eastern Mediterranean Sea after transiting the Strait of Gibraltar on Saturday. Meanwhile, 2 ships of the Bataan Amphibious Ready Group are now in the Red Sea. Now, remember, those are the amphibious carrier-type ships. Those can actually deploy their own kind of army of ships out of them. It says the Navy confirmed aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower and its escorts made the transit early Saturday via social media. It says the Ike Carrier Strike Group, which includes the Arleigh Burke class destroyers, USS Gravely, the USS Mason, and the Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser USS Philippine Sea, with the carrier Air 3 Wing embarked as well. So we have a lot of ships. There are many other ships from many other countries. Somebody was saying that the number is up in the 70s or 80s now. So there is something brewing, and it is big time. We'll show you some images showing kind of where everybody is in just a moment. When we get right back, we're going to do a couple disclaimers because we are a live show and we are independent. So be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Wanna know anything on topic? I know it because I read an op-ed. I'm an expert on the subject. Know everything that is poppin'. Wanna know anything on topic? I know it because I read an op-ed. I'm an expert on the subject. All right, remember, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. When you go there, you will see that every single source is there at your fingertips. That way you can actually follow along. And if you want to, during our live show, you can grab a second device, a tablet or a cell phone, and you can watch this on your TV. So again, you can go watch and read along right here on marfooglenews.com. Not only that, you have a full resource of all sorts of extra great stuff that is going on. All the stuff that could not fit in the show goes into the overflow. We'll talk about that at the very end. Again, make sure to thank the mods by dropping an M in the chat right now. Again, the mods do a great job of keeping the peace down in chat, which can have a few thousand up to 10,000 in there on our crazy days. So make sure to go thank the mods for being awesome. They are, of course, enforcing the simple rules. Don't trash anybody, again, and don't spam. All right, let's bring in my co/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we have a lot to go over in a short amount of time, but let's go over sort of this image here. So Dex, with USNI, we actually have kind of a a breakdown of where everybody's at, which shows kind of the
Correct.
layout.
Yeah, and just a quick clarification, the document we showed earlier, it's correct. It's the current news that's coming out that they're reporting. I don't know why it said the 17th on the date on there. For those of you that pay attention to details, it's actually the link on our website. It'll take you to the same article, and it's today's article. So this is the current information showing where, based on public information. So we're not releasing the goods here, guys. It's not even us. It's coming from USNI, and others have reported this, of where the ships are. And specifically, and as you can see, as you zoom in, you'll see Dwight D. Eisenhower is now in the Mediterranean, away from the entrance. The last time we were reporting on it, it was near the entrance of coming in by Gibraltar. So it's definitely within range. The Ford is sitting there. The interesting one that we didn't know about was the Baton, because we thought it was already headed there or already there. But apparently, just as we reported on, I think it was Friday last week, it had just started entering the Red Sea. Now, some were speculating that that was because it needed a destroyer to help it and Carter and the rest of its pass through the strait there. That's kind of a little iffy with potential trouble. So that could have been one of the reasons it was delayed. It was waiting for maybe a destroyer to come down from the Ford, but it's on its way up, and it's probably where that dot is. It's probably a little further, because this is going to be a day or two old, based on satellite images and what they can get their access to that's public. So the point, I guess, the main point we need to understand is that the Ford's in place. A Baton is definitely in range with fuel support, and probably within range without fuel support, air fuel support, any day now. Eisenhower will be there shortly, and keep in mind, Eisenhower is going to take its path right where the Baton is, and work according to what they told us. That can always change, and work its way back around to where Pat Forsois is. Which is over near the Persian Gulf. So that's the current setup. You can basically see they're surrounding the Middle East with a lot of power. And then we still have everybody else covering the East Coast, West Coast, and then all over South China Sea.
Yeah, so you have two strike groups that are over by the South China Sea. You have the Reagan carrier strike group, and you have the Vincent carrier strike group. And then you have the America ARG at the Sasebo base in Japan. So you have two carrier strike groups over in the South China Sea. You have two, the Gerald R. Ford and the Dwight D. Eisenhower in the Mediterranean. And then, of course, the amphibious ready group. That's what they're called, right? So you have the America amphibious ready group over in Japan, the Baton amphibious ready group in the Red Sea. You have, of course, the Pats Forsois right on the other side of that body mass. And then you have the Healy and the USS George Washington off of the East Coast. So there's a lot of action going on right now. And, of course, with two strike groups each, it's kind of like they're setting up for something. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and just to clarify, where the Baton is also where the Carter is. According to USNI,
and Hall.
The Hall, Carter Hall. Yeah, that's there. It's another ARG. They basically said, hey, we're only showing the lead ship. So if there's multiple ships or multiple even groups that are together, in that case, two ARGs together, they're only listing the one. So there's a lot of power in there, a lot of horsepower, so to speak, or firepower.
Horsepower, yeah. Because horses are the best swimmers, Dex. But I get what you meant. As far as and then the USS Mesa Verde, believe we know at least one Fugel fam member that's serving on that. So very, very, very spread out kind of layout here. And then we have the U.S. Air Force KC-135 refueling tankers, more U.S. troops sent to Middle East. So the things that they're sending there and the actual kind of groups, and sorry, frog in my throat. The actual things that are being deployed, the groups that are being deployed, it doesn't take an expert to know that this is a very particular kind of set of deployments that are happening right now. A lot of folks think that this is getting ready for a massive conflict. USS efforts in the Middle East remain focused on supporting Israel's defense needs as the nation battles terrorists in the Strip, deterring other actors who seek to use war on Israel as a pretext to expand the conflict to ensure force protection for U.S. forces serving in the region. That was according to Pentagon Press Secretary Air Force Brigadier General Pat Ryder. So it said that approximately 900 troops are in the process of deploying to the U.S. Central Command or U.S. CENTCOM area of operations. These include forces that have previously been put on prepare to deploy status. Now, remember, there's been a ton more that are still on the prepare to deploy. And my thought is that a lot of these things, they can be classified. They can actually deploy a whole lot more and not tell anybody for national security reasons. I feel like we know way too many people deployed as far as Army and Marines that are being deployed right now that are all part of a small group of people. And it's really, really funky to me that a ton of the military members in our Fugel fam know somebody that's being deployed. And it's like, what are the odds that they all know somebody in this small group of 900? I mean, it's way too many people saying that their friend or family member is being deployed for it all to be a part of this one group of 900. Not to mention the thousands that are already on these ships. You've got tens of thousands when you add up all of these other groups. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and the fact that they're bringing in these refuelers so quickly, or at this point, which they probably were already there, but they're telling it because they can be there in a matter of hours. They just get up in the air and fly. It doesn't take them as long as these ships do. But the point we had earlier last week or Friday was the Baton has a bunch of F-35s, and it was only going to be in range by the time it got to the Red Sea. By range, we meant round trip, get there and get back. So quick sortie in and out. But by getting these tankers up, then they can actually extend their range dramatically. And I think they're going to want to probably not just use the maximum range they have. They're probably going to want to be able to do multiple rounds. So getting these tankers up and over is indicative of the fact that those planes are probably going to be in the air any day now, if they're not already at this moment. And I mean those planes as in F-35s off of the ARGs.
And Pat Ryder made a point, and they keep reiterating that the U.S. keeps getting attacked by Iranian groups or these Iranian-funded groups, right? It says Ryder said that between October 17th and the 26th, U.S. and coalition forces have been attacked at least 12 separate times in Iraq and 4 separate times in Syria by a mix of one-way attack drones and rockets. That is an act of war. It's just a matter if they pull the trigger and decide who to pull the trigger on. There have been acts of war being done for months as far as the stuff that they're reporting. It just matters if they declare who the enemy is and if they declare it. So all of these kind of actions are enough to start a war. It's whether they decide to actually do it. And then Jordan asked U.S. to deploy Patriot air defense systems. So Jordan's actually asking for them to do so. Jordan has asked the United States to deploy Patriot air defense systems on its soil, according to Jordanian Army spokesman Brigadier General Mustafa Hayeri. It said that this system is an expensive system and there's no way to provide it with local resources. He told state media, "We need a strategic partner." So now we have, of course, Jordan literally coming and asking for the Patriot system. This is, I mean, we know how much these things cost because of the huge debate over sending even one over to UKR, which now the Patriots are now in UKR. Now they're talking about supplying Patriots to other places in the world because of other conflicts that are going on. Every time that this Patriot is used, it is expensive. I mean, really expensive. And who foots the bill? Well, I think you guys probably know. You wake up and look at them in the mirror every morning. It says there are potential ballistic missile threats against Jordan, he added, without specifying them. Jordan does not host American bases. So again, this is not a place where we already have troops. So we're basically jumping into somewhere else to potentially help if this goes down. It says, but the U.S. does have a presence in the country to train Jordanian forces and provide upgrades to maintenance to equipment. In January 2021, the country signed a defense cooperation agreement which gives the U.S. unimpeded access to certain Jordanian facilities. Also on Sunday, the General Command of the Jordanian Armed Forces dismissed allegations that U.S. aircraft were using local air bases to supply with equipment and ammunition for use in the Israel-Hamas conflict. It says the military alleged the aim of such allegations is to undermine Jordan's steadfast support of Palestine and to tarnish the reputation of its armed forces. So, Dex, we have some pretty confusing messaging going on.
So we got a lot of aircraft cargo crafts that have been flying over to that area quite a bit, obviously over the last couple of weeks, but more so in the last few days. It won't surprise me if this ask is really a cover to say, hey, by the way, we're going to put Patriots in here to protect our assets. When I say we, I mean the US, because while we don't have bases there, we obviously have troops and equipment there for the purpose of quote unquote training. So if there's something bigger going on, then you better believe they'll be putting Patriots in there to back up the US troops and protect them. That's probably the signal. So if you see that happening, then you can probably, think that there's more assets there that need protection that are US assets than just Jordanian assets. And this is probably a cover to get that installed.
Yeah, this is going extremely well. Sarcasm. By the way, thank you, Rick Johnson, for being here. Diane Whitlock, thank you, Schaefer Girl. Carol, Minraja, currently 73 U.S. warships and another 32 of others, right? 73, yeah. I that's what I said earlier. I thought it was up in the 60s to 80s, something like that. So right in the middle of what I was thinking. Now, I highly doubt that it's going to stay that way. It's probably going to get a lot bigger. That number is going to go up, I think. I'm so sad to think of all of our young people who are going to perish because of these warmongers, says Genius by Birth. Rhoda Rose, thank you for being there. Have you guys seen the video of, I don't know who he is, but I think he's a bigger name on TikTok or one of the social media platforms. But people like the Hodge twins and others have been sharing this video of this younger guy. He's probably 30, and he's talking about how he goes, F these greedy politicians. Did they think that if they draft us that we're going to fight? It's really sad to hear the kind of opinion now that, first of all, the Gen Z really does not want to fight anybody. Heck, they don't really want to hold down a minimum wage job, let alone fight anybody. And no offense to the few Gen Zs that are watching that are actually, really taking care of their stuff. But as far as the draft, that has been, we actually covered this last week. It is one of the most searched Google terms on the planet right now. Will I get drafted, right? And people are saying, and they're already making a big deal like the draft is coming, like they know it's coming. That's how people are treating it. They say, well, F you, we're not going to fight for these greedy politicians and all of this. Well, what's sad is that it used to be like if there was a conflict or something going on where Americans were hurt, Americans would be the first ones to go, I'm signing up. I can't wait to sign up. You could not hold them back. Parents could not hold their kids back from jumping in and applying to be a Marine or to be in the Army. Now it's the complete opposite. Good luck trying to get this next generation to fight because they've been essentially, and it's not because they're so informed. Most of these young kids just don't have any pride in the country whatsoever. But then again, you have the older folks even looking at it and going, well, yeah, it is pretty messed up. Would you want to fight for the current cause right now? Would you want to go and fight for this, what is happening right now? Well, many people disagree with it. At the same time, there are so many good men and women serving right now, and I think that the good outweighs the bad. But the bad is the leadership and these groups of people that are running things. It's really horrendous. What's crazy is all of us, everybody says, oh, well, I support our troops and I support those, but then they don't support the people that are giving the orders, right? Well, you kind of have to find a middle ground and you kind of have to make a decision or, figure out what you are going to support because at the end of the day, either you don't support our troops or you do support our troops. And what sucks is like where our troops are being ordered to go to, you might completely disagree with that. But I think there's still a way to support our troops as far as the young men and women who actually did sign up for the idea of protecting America, for protecting their country. And this applies to any other country right now. I mean, there's probably some of you watching from France or watching from Australia or watching from, we'd even have a few people from New Zealand. Wherever you're from, to be able to have pride for where you live and to go sign up to essentially potentially sacrifice your life for the freedom of your country, it's a big deal. Well, now it's down the garbage hole. I mean, it's down the disposal. People don't want to fight anymore. So it's sad, but at the same time, it's a complicated thing where people don't believe in what's going on. They don't believe the causes that they're making. What I think is really scary though right now is just say if you don't take a side at all. If you look at the people that are actually protesting, there's hundreds of thousands, millions out in the streets protesting around all major cities. Social media has all these people ripping down signs of the people that were taken in is. But yet the narrative from the government and from everybody official is saying support is, right? But the people, it seems like many people in public don't. And you have divide and conquer inside of left and right. So you have Republicans and Democrats, they're divided over this. I mean, you had Greta Thunberg, whatever, even saying, free this place, right? And then 2 minutes later deletes it and switches it. Says, oh, sorry, I didn't know. People don't know who to support. And again, kind of like my intro, it's like people think they're experts because they read an op-ed. This is something that I don't think people need to go to college 8 years and then they're still not qualified unless they are literally in one of these places. That's just my view on it, because I don't believe people really, really know the ins and outs of this, and it's not something you can read in an op-ed. It's not something you can even research for a couple days and figure out. This is deep. This is incredibly complicated. But that doesn't mean you say you don't take anything. You can have your personal opinion, of course. But at the same time, we're looking at what is actually happening outside of this image. And what is how the big picture of this is things are going south really quick. And this is the time when us preppers need to really start worrying about what is above us and not worrying about each other. Speaking of which, thank you. You guys want to do a quick roll call here after this next piece. Shout out where you're from. Pro-Palestinian riders storm Russian airport, flood the runway looking for an Israeli flight. So if you've seen the videos of this, which we've attached over on the website, or we'll attach the original so you can go over and watch it, there's tons of different videos of it, right? These people, their social media is taking clips out of it, and they're accusing people of being JEW. They're basically accusing people of being from this place. It's a very freaky thing. If you think about the kind of symbolic nature of what we're actually talking about here, there are riders storming an airport, trying to take people off of a plane and see what their background is. That has a certain kind of ring to it that is global. Something that kind of really rings true to what happened in previous world wars. So we're here. This is it, guys. If you didn't know, we're in World War III right now, and we're watching it unfold. Everything is about to happen. And for you that have told your friends and family about this for years, your vindication is not going to be great, because now that it's going to actually happen, you better hope that you are as prepared as you think you are. And that's my opinion. Again, hopefully you're partly here for that. But it says a group of protesters in southwestern Russia flooded an airport while anti-Israel remarks on Sunday nights, reportedly searching for passengers from a flight that departed from Tel Aviv. So they were looking for a certain type of people that come from Israel, and they were they weren't going to high five them. Let's just say that. This is in Russia, right? And there are some statements. We'll actually talk about what Russia said here in a second. Carol from Alabama, thank you. Nice to see you. Honey Driscoll from Texas Hill County. Nice to see you guys. Boise, Idaho. We've got B. Toth Burris. Northern Arizona here. Ken James. Mind you, this is going to be used. It says, was this real? I don't know. You can't say anything is real anymore. But what you can say is the reaction to this event real? Yes. That's the thing. What if it could be done on a stage or something? Doesn't matter. The world is reacting to it as if it is. So really, we look at the reaction, not the actual event, because the reaction to it is that is going to be most definitely real. Unless somebody comes out with absolute proof that it's not, then it is real, at least as far as people are concerned across the globe that are, hitting their snooze button over and over. Arizona Lowlands, Redonk, nice to see you. Nevada, New Mexico. Nick McMinn says, I smell bowl. We've got Shorky Dog Mom Coffee Lover. Hey, Central New Zealand. Hey, nice to see you. Francisca. Yuma, Arizona. We have County Mountie. We have Frankfurt, Indiana. Tehachapi. Tehachapi. Never heard of that. Thank you guys. They were already bringing our young men. Edmonds, Washington. Lucid. Nice to see you. That's a nice area. Des Moines, Iowa. Nice to see you. Nope. West Texas. And we've got Wyoming in the house. Southern Cali, Arizona, Washington, D.C., Orlando, Florida. Earth, Schaefer Girl, Andy Smith. Nice to see you. And See Heart Think from Buffalo. Nice to see you guys. And no OHIOs in the house, apparently. Where's my Ohio people? Okay. Before we move on, make sure to go over and check out marfugglenews.com/energy. This is our recommendation for a solar generator. If the lights go out, whether it be for a storm or an SHTF, this is an awesome unit. This is something I've used personally. I've used it for pretty much everything I've ever, any kind of job that I've used, I've brought this with and used my tools. As far as I do construction as well, and I've been able to build fences and use my drills and saws with this. Wherever that you can't access a extension cord, this thing is awesome. But other than that, this can provide power during an emergency. So as far as if the lights go out because of a local storm or just a daily power outage, you don't have to go to a hotel room or to a family friend or to a family's house. You can literally keep going as business as usual. This is a solar generator, so you can either charge it from the wall, or you can actually hook it up to solar panels and charge it and have that power stored and ready to go, just like a stored up battery, only for your home. Again, this can be expanded. It can be changed as far as it's modular. You can actually add different mods like the UPS or uninterrupted power supply rapid charger. This allows you to charge a 1,000 watt hour battery in literally about 40 minutes, which is absolutely incredible. It charges at 1,200 watts per hour, I believe. So that can plug right into your wall and charge a battery in almost no time at all. So again, that's really cool, but otherwise it is a UPS unit. So it will turn your whole Flex 1500 into an uninterrupted power supply, meaning if your fridge is plugged into the Flex and the Flex is plugged into the wall, when your power goes out, it will immediately switch over. It's really good for oxygen machines or anything else, especially ones that if you have a unit that doesn't have a built-in backup battery. I believe most do, but again, some CPAPs don't. So very, very good thing to have. Other than that, though, it is basically a backup generator mod for it. Go to marfugglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Not only will you save, but you'll also be helping independent news. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. And again, that code is Marfoogle. That can be also found in the show notes down below. You can just go to marfugglenews.com/energy. Dex, do you want to talk about Putin? And then, of course, as far as I'll pull up something here in a second, but do you want to go over Putin to hold meeting this evening on Western attempts to divide the Russian society?
Yeah, so he's already sought to blame the West. And what he's basically saying, he hasn't brought any proof, but what he's trying to say is, hey, all of that rioting that just happened at my airport, where these people were looking for another type of people, he goes, they were just Western spies. They're the ones that are behind it. And he's basically saying that the West is trying to divide his own country within and make people think that it's okay to behave that way. Now, there's absolutely no proof or evidence that he's provided in that, but that's the story, at least, or at least the attempt that he's trying to spin in the media about what went down last night at the airport there. So very interesting. You could easily think that there's some sort of involvement from three-letter agencies to try to, do that. That's not outside of the norm of the types of activities that, those types of groups do. But at the same time, he's not actually coming up with any proof. He's just stating it as his opinion. So there you have it.
And then do you want to go over what Fiona Hill thinks, or at least this is an interesting piece about could wars in UKR Gaza bring major changes in the international order?
Yeah, this is a very interesting opinion piece, but she was talking specifically about the fact that the two conflicts aren't actually linked. But when you look back at how things happened in the previous global conflicts, one and two, there were events that happened that weren't necessarily linked, but then they sort of brought the world together and made everybody pick sides. And the point is, what's going to happen when Russia picks a side, or more importantly, what happens when UKR picks a side, which they've already said they're going to support is. So if they're picking a side, then their adversary, being Russia, is probably going to take the other side. And that's where alliances get made, and even stranger alliances get made and create conflict. And her opinion was the attack that happened and is about 2 weeks ago, that attack was the equivalent of Pearl Harbor moment in starting up the second great conflict. So very fascinating. It's an opinion piece, but she's actually a former advisor to the presidents on the I guess the situations in Russia and other locations. So it's not just a writer. This is actually somebody who's actually played that role, providing insight into the thoughts that go into these nations and how they make their decisions. So it's not far off from some of the things that we've even thought ourselves, many of us in the audience, as well as ourselves here.
I just pulled up January 19th, 2023, right here. You can literally go to this, and I talk about how there's going to be a Pearl 2.0, a Pearl Harbor event that will grab all of our hearts and literally grab the entire world and get us into war. But yeah, again, anytime I bring up previous times that we've called what happened, and we're only calling what is happening because of Fugel fam, because of military members in the crowd, because of information that comes from our community. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have common sense, and many of you do as well. And I don't think it takes a psychic to really see where this is going. It's like a bad B movie where the person's going to run up the stairs instead of out the front door. I've said this for years, and it's happening. Before CV, before CV, you had the same exact thing. We had shows 4, 5, 6 months before, 3 months before. We knew because of the types of drills that were happening. I mean, it's incredible. And by the way, I covered that from the very beginning. I went to the first ever patient in the U.S. I was at the hospital outside of it, trying to get drone shots in the windows of the robots serving that guy. But as far as this goes, it's coming, and people don't want to accept it. By the way, MJ1979, thank you for the Ninja Genie over on DLive. I appreciate that, and thank you for keeping the DLive crew alive over there, Chance. I appreciate you modding over there. Beer Juice, Chance, thank you. Kiki Gray, Renegade PD, Michelle K. We, of course, thank you, Renegade PD, Scooby-Doo Do-Right, you guys going back and forth. And Beer Juice, thank you. Poco Loco, Kimbria, One on B, Elijah, thank you so much. I appreciate your support over there. And thank you, everybody. But yeah, the Pearl Harbor 2.0. Who didn't see that coming, right? Sorry, I think I wasn't alone on that either. All right, and then let's see here. We have drone video shows a column of Russian tanks doing a swift U-turn to flee after coming under UKR fire. Most will say, this is propaganda, and it most likely everything coming out of the UKR, Russia, both sides is. But it says a drone video shows an entire fleet of Russian tanks driving towards the UKR positions in the eastern city of Ardivka, only to do a U-turn after coming under fire. The 40-second long footage was published by UKR's Ministry of Defense on Sunday, alongside the caption, "The Fate of Russian Tanks in UKR." The one thing that people point out with UKR is they share their victories, but that's about the only thing they're sharing. The bigger picture, when you've seen, of course, interviews with very well-known generals and former generals, they believe that they are losing horribly. And what their strategy is to show you the few wins that they do get, and this could be a win. but also that they do that because obviously the whole narrative around UKR is nobody wants to support a losing war. In fact, most people don't even support it at all. Nobody is talking about UKR and Russia anymore at all. Everybody is focused on Israel and this strip, right? People have basically forgot that there's this massive war that is considered something that could trigger World War III, and people are it's a back burner project as far as the conflict over there. But yet the majority of the money that they just asked for, it was $100 billion thing. $63 billion out of that. I believe it was at least over $60 billion. 20 of it's going to Israel, 63 over to UKR, which, again, if they just ask and if they just keep going on the UKR, people are done with it. Nobody's profile picture is Zelensky anymore. Nobody's wearing their green shirt to signify solidarity with UKR. No, a lot of people don't care. I wouldn't say that nobody cares anymore, but you would think the majority of people are just kind of tired of it. They're tired of every 2 weeks them asking for more and more money. So now that this happens, well, now they ask for just a giant number of money, and then they're like, oh, yeah. And then, hey, give 63 over there, the people they don't care about anymore. That's what it feels like. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Waiting to see troops surrounding Damascus and hear the trumpet blow and go home. Scrappy Dappy Doo. Awesome movie, says Larry Gatlin. I don't know which movie you're talking about, but I will say this. I mentioned this on Twitter with the whole Gavin Newsom going to China. I think it's absolutely nuts, right? Just to show you real quick, let me pop this over. Gavin Newsom went to China, and folks are seeing some of the clips that are happening from that. There's a clip of him actually playing basketball with these people in China, these kids, small kids. Shoot, did I not share it? You know what's been happening to me is I share a tweet and it just doesn't go through. Let me see. Maybe it was farther down. Yeah. So this is Gavin Newsom playing basketball, and he spins the ball. Obviously, he's been in Hooper. In fact, I was kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, because he does a little background thing here. Boom, boom. Oh, he's slick, showing off for his friends. Oh! Tackle a small child. But more people are concerned about that than the entire reason he is actually there. How, when we had high-ranking officials did not get anywhere close to Xi Jinping, but yet Gavin Newsom, who's in charge of California, got a surprise visit and got to talk to him behind closed doors. Doesn't make sense to me. Gavin Newsom of California, the same California that just in the last year accidentally leaked every single gun owner's address, where they kept the guns, where they owned, how many they had, all of their information. It just got out there, right? And I don't know, maybe a country that has one of the most advanced facial recognition, that's been hoarding data and DNA from people all over the world, that has literally hacked into all of our informational system, has a book on each one of us, now has access to the gun owners of every California citizen, right? And then you have Newsom going and visiting with them. If you've ever seen a movie like Dragon Day or Red Dawn, then you'd know, like, if something was to succeed, something like an invasion of the U.S., one thing is that we are armed. That's why everybody thinks, oh, we're totally safe. Everybody's got a weapon. You know, it's like basically one big army country. Well, if you have drones that could take out every address that has a weapon, and you already have leadership basically set up and ready to flip, then yeah, you could do it. And if you had, say, a southern border in the same state, which has the southern border has been super open for the last 3, 4, or 5 years, with military-age men that are probably already here, which many sources are now saying that any army that you think could invade from another country, the geographic distance of them traveling here by boat, they don't need to. Why would they need to when they've been coming in over the last 5 years? They're already here. And now people are talking about this. I've been talking about this for 5 years. Everybody has. the fact that they don't need to come across in boats and do a U-boat drop like D-Day. They don't have to hit our ports and bust our ports up and come in. They could set up from inside. We're the melting pot, right? So but yeah, I said, here's your box of bracelets. Hashtag, here's your box of bracelets, Dragon Day Red or Dawn. I just think it's crazy that people are more focused on him tackling the little kid, which is funny because he's not as good as he thought. But yeah. What do you
Annie spanked him.
It's what?
I said Annie spanked him.
Yeah. Again.
Weird.
Yeah. Awkward. And then we have exclusive U.S. military begins Japan seafood purchases to counter China ban. Dex, what the heck is this about?
So China said they weren't going to buy any seafood from Japan, as we reported when they released the water from Fukushima. They said, hey, all that's going to be bad seafood. We don't want it. So it killed a big chunk of the sales in Japan for seafood that they fish and they produce. So here the U.S. military is stepping in, the United States, and is going to be buying a lot of seafood for our military. Sounds kind of interesting. It also comes up with a lot of questions like, okay, well, let's hope it's good. Let's hope there's nothing wrong. But if there is something wrong, we're giving it to all of our military. So that's that. You can ask whatever questions you got here, folks. But do you think it's the right thing to do? I'm not sure.
Yeah, first time buying Japanese seafood to supply its military there. It's crazy because also there's obviously all the people that from Japan have stopped buying a lot of the seafood, and we covered how they were preparing and they bought all of anything seaweed related they bought before. Anything that was from the sea, they ended up stocking up on. We saw videos of Japanese families buying extra freezers and basically buying an incredible amount of seafood because they're afraid of the Fukushima water being dumped into the water and how it will affect things. Well, now they can just feed it to the military. And before we talk about U.S. South Korean warplanes kick off joint air drills, just want to remind you guys, if you don't have a resource for affordable freeze-dried food that will last 25 years, the great part about freeze-dried food, especially if you get it now, is it has been just absolutely going nuts in price. This will last 25 years. So if we do have food prices go insane, this is kind of inflation-proof, or at least for 2.5 decades it is. If the price triples 3 times, again, like it has in the last 5 years, you'll have 20 years left on the shelf. So this is an awesome thing to have, as far as it doesn't have to be for the end of the world. It can be for a storm. It can be for a hurricane, an earthquake. You basically have a set of food, a set amount that you have that. The 3-month has a huge discount right now, so make sure to go over to marfugglenews.com/prep. Again, that's marfugglenews.com/prep. And also, they always have deals on the 1 month. If you want to get a 72-hour kit for your go bag, they have all sorts of great stuff. And the great part about this is that it is one of the most affordable out there. Not only that, again, when you're talking about this stuff, some of the competitors can range 2 to 3 times as much. So this is a good way to stock up a bunch quantity. So again, marfugglenews.com/prep. You don't need a code for over there. Just use that link, marfugglenews.com/prep. And then U.S. South Korean warplanes kick off joint air drills. We cover all of the drills. Drills and exercises can always turn into the real thing. We've covered a lot of odd interactions between North Korea, South Korea. Of course, Kim Jong-un just recently met with Vlad not too long ago. They have been talking about how, in fact, they said that they were going to prepare and drill for an October 7 type event from North Korea into South Korea. Dex, as far as the thing we covered the other day, they were essentially saying that they were going to practice for an event that was much like what happened in Israel, or what happened just now. So a surprise event from from North Korea, and now they're kicking off these drills.
Exactly. Well, it's like drill after drill now. So we were talking about one. That one had just wrapped up last week, and now this one is starting this week. So this is 130 warplanes from both countries, simulating a 24-hour operation. F-35s from both the U.S. and South Korea are going to be among the aircrafts that are going to be flown. I think the big thing to pay attention to is what does Kim do? Every time these drills, if they're big enough or seem like they have substance enough towards him, then he does something in return for retaliation for it. It's usually a launch. It may be some, he's shot stuff near the border. He's done different things, but they seem to get a little more amped up each time. So it will be interesting to see if he does do anything that is engageable, because that's where things will get hot quickly, and we can easily see yet another location turn hot on the globe, which then requires a lot of troops and forces to be engaged.
Now, mind you, the thing that they talked about that they were practicing for was a potential surprise attack from Kim, and specifically hitting the origins of the surprise attack, which they believe that it will be the hundreds of artillery weapons that they have on the other side of the border. So it would be sort of an air event where they go in and from the distance, they can take out all of the artillery that would be the origin of this surprise attack. What this also could mean, though, too, and this is super, super incredibly unlikely, but it is always a possibility, that one of these drills like this, just like China, when they keep doing more and more and more and bigger drills until one day it's going to be the real thing, that they go in and they actually preemptively strike North Korea. Or they say they had intelligence that they were going to do a surprise attack, which they've already set up the background for, right? They say that, we're practicing this because we got intel that they might surprise attack with artillery across the border. They go in and all of a sudden try to take out North Korea. Mind you, that would start off something. North Korea says that if they are under attack in any way, or if they feel like they're trying to take out Kim or anybody in his regime, that's what he said, any of the people under him, that if somebody tries to take any of them out, take the head off the snake, that they will automatically, they set it up so it will automatically fire nukes at the USA. Even if it's a French dude could go in there and take somebody out. They said nukes going to USA. So if you're more of the mind like, oh, it's all propaganda, well, then it very well could be, but it could also be set up for a Fantastic Freddy and one single nuke that basically brings the world to its knees and brings everybody into a full-on hot war. That is, again, more unlikely, but look at the world we're in right now. Would anything surprise you guys? Let's do a quick poll. Would anything, including a nuclear bomb going off, would it surprise you if something happened right now? Would anything surprise you? 1 for yes, 2 for no. 3 for I don't know. I don't think many people are going to not know. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Would any kind of huge event right now surprise you? 1 for yes, 2 for no. We'll put it up on the screen here. Doesn't feel like propaganda. Nanny Anderson, Comet Moon, 2, Cognitable, Pocoloco, Amanda Rusk, Sean C. And mind you, it's not like we want something like this to happen, but would it surprise you? Sounds like it's overwhelmingly no, right? So being that nobody would be surprised if something like that happened, is it out of the realm to speculate and talk about that? I don't think so. And then we have the White House unveils AI executive order requiring companies to share national security risks. Dex, can you pull up? I actually specifically asked people on Twitter about this. And I said, and by the way, this is because I was looking at this and going, what is the side angle here? I don't know. And I asked if anybody had any answers on that. It was today, or I think it was this morning. I think it was right when I woke up, 5:30, 6 a.m. What is the angle here? What is the angle? What do you guys think that this is? What is the nefarious part of this? And Dex, I'm sure you probably have a view on this, but I did want to get the Fugel fam's view on what do you think this is? Why is Kamala and why do they keep doing this? They say unfair algorithms and things like this. Dex, go ahead.
That tweet is in Screener if you want it. And yeah, so what they're saying is they're going to establish a standard, an NSIT standard that is going to basically outline the protocols that are used for red team testing. And so this is probably not a term you guys are familiar with, and it's going to be new to anybody that's not actually in the AI business. But this whole notion of red team testing is a term that they use in the AI development world, where they do all sorts of tests to try to see what bad things are maybe happening to them. They have basically a red team, they call it. The red team does the testing, but at this point, there's no standards for it. Everybody just does their own. I'm sure they talk and they probably share and they probably read books about it and they share different information about what they've done and they learn from it, but there's not an official standard. So the White House is basically saying we're going to establish that. It's going to come out from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and everyone will have to use that. And anything that is coming from that red team assessment, and I know it doesn't mean there's a team in the government, but the rules for which your red team should operate for testing, that's showing anything that may be part of a national security risk, it then has to be disclosed. I'm just questioning it. It seems like a lot of goodwill, but I don't know that it really is going to have a lot of substance to it. Like, I don't know how much bite it's going to have. The other thing people are worried about is, will this cause job loss in the AI market? Like, will people that are doing all this AI work all of a sudden be like, hey, we can't follow all these processes and rules and regulations, and will they fall apart? So part of the requirement is to actually do a study on that from the Department of Commerce and come up with guidance on what may or may not happen with the jobs in the AI field.
So again, by the way, people responded with memes of Marge. One responded with fart noises. One said, by the way, always trying, why no shows in the past 2 days? We don't do shows on Saturday and Sunday, by the way. What's worse than AI when it's combined with quantum computer? Now that's a nightmare scenario. Jan France, we've got Belle. She doesn't even know what she is talking about AIDS, right? All there, including the laws. We have so not the answer. I would love if there was more folks over on Twitter. So make sure to go follow me at Marfoogle. Again, a lot of my followers are just straight up from Twitter and not from. They don't even know we have this over here. So make sure to go follow me over there. I know a majority are just people that have actually found me through Twitter. So make sure to join me over here if you can. I love having discussions over there as well. So make sure to drop a line. Plus, we want to get back and do more spaces. The spaces that we did were very, very fun. It is a lot of work, though, on top of our daily show to then basically do kind of a audio show. All right. Have you seen Unreal Engine? I didn't see the rest of what you saw, but yeah, I have seen some of the clips of what Unreal Engine can do with the city and all of that. It's crazy. Following on Twitter, but I forget to open the app. Twitter is really great. Here's the one thing about Twitter, though, is anybody that is on Twitter, everybody follows stuff so closely, but I think people forget that not everybody's on Twitter. Not everybody knows exactly what's happening every 2 minutes of the day. So majority of people really don't know what is happening. For William, Texas, I'm banned on Twitter. I would start a new one. Just start a different name. Do For William, Texas 2 or something. I miss Periscope. Michael Johnson. Periscope. That was crazy when they first canceled Periscope. I was like, what? But I mean, I think you have a different version of it now. Dex, isn't there sort of a different kind of Periscope? Like,
well, they integrated that functionality into Twitter, so it wasn't separate.
Huh. Rondis has never done X. X is cool, worth having for sure. Sean James. Well, it's definitely. I think that it's getting better too. When you go to a video, then you can swipe just like Shorts or just like TikTok. Only it's the people you are following. So it depends on who you follow. If you follow really good people, when you swipe, I think mine is just automatically set for this, but when I swipe through the videos, I don't just get random, A, B, C videos. I get videos from the people I follow. So I get to go through all of the videos of the really good accounts that I've followed, and I can swipe through all of the video content that they posted. So you see a lot of stuff that's related. Or if you search a subject and then swipe through the videos, you're going to get really good up to the moment. Like sometimes you get cell phone videos that were posted of an event 5 minutes ago, and you can search that and find those videos. So make sure to go follow me over there. Really, that is the great part I like, because you can get the people you follow, the great accounts like Duan Dong. I just found that the other day. He is basically always got current naval satellite photography. Great account. So I'll probably put together a list. I also want to remind you, I did not forget. I took a video of that the movie intro that I was talking about with the horse, the black horse and the planet. So I will upload that after the show. So go over there and see the crazy intro to Hidden Strike that I was talking about the other day. I didn't forget. I procrastinated on it a little bit. All right. And let's see here. Elon Musk wants Twitter/X to replace your bank account. Here's how it will work. And if you've seen some of the clips he's posted, he actually posted a tweet the other day. It has his own voice on it saying, X, it's kind of like the Everything app. As far as replacing the bank and how it's kind of pushed forward, a lot of folks think that it's the mark. Like X will be the mark. I mean, X marks the spot. I mean, if you think about X marks the spot. X mark the mark. Pay for it. You can't buy or sell without the X that marks the spot. I feel like I'm channeling Jacob Israel right now. But it says Elon Musk plans to turn X, formerly Twitter, into an all-encompassing financial hub that will fully replace the need for banks. And he plans to do it in a year's time. That's like higher power stuff if this is possible. He also says he's going to get people to Mars by 2030 or something. What the heck? Dex, what do you think how would he replace banks?
Aren't we still waiting for Cybertrucks?
Right?
He's not always that fast. So,
well,
I think he's going to go down that path of probably some form of blockchain. But let's not forget, he has a lot of experience from his days of PayPal, and how to interact and create financial platforms. That one being one that was, created outside of the banks, same exact principle, and then eventually connected to the banks. And so I can see him taking some path from that, and probably from his love of the crypto/blockchain industry, and putting something together. He did say it's not going to be just, hey, I can send $20 to my friend. It's really like, I want it. He's expecting it to be your complete financial system, so that you can do what you would do with a bank, but do it on his platform. Pretty audacious, kind of scary when you think about it, especially when you look at how you framed it, and many have framed it that way as well. And certainly, even if you don't just talk about the mark, you can just look at what happens with, say, WeChat in China and social credit scores, and having that one app that rules it all, then calls that into play, and also gives you another reason to quiver when you think about what he may be doing here.
And if you're not familiar, China has a social credit score to where if you put your bike in the street, if you park your bike in the wrong spot, your social credit score goes down. If you jaywalk, your social credit score goes down. If you criticize a police officer, your credit score goes down. And if your social credit score goes down too low, well, then you can't buy plane or train tickets. In fact, you can't ride transportation. You could see how that would be a big deal. That's China. Well, many people don't, because they just obey the rules and they don't do it, right? I'm sure the crime rates are very low in some cases, but at what cost? They also can't even put up a sign. Their supposed protests were holding up a blank sign because they can't even protest. They they just put up a piece of paper saying, basically implying that they disagree, but they wouldn't dare actually writing something on it. But who knows though? That whole thing seemed kind of weird too. Overnight, they just dropped the CV measures and just opened back up shop after being the potential cause for it in the first place and shutting down for 3 years. I think that, and I'm starting to really think this, and I know this sounds crazy and people are going to think I'm nuts. I almost think that they used that 3 years, turned all those factories, which were still running, people were still in them making stuff. I think they used that 3 years to build military. I think that they basically did wartime stuff, but they did it in secret. Just a side crazy thought. So not verified. But what if they used, like they shut down the whole electronics market? During this period, they shut down massive factories. They shut them down. They shut down these squares. What if they were that whole time manufacturing military gear, tanks, jets, Air Force, everything else? Because again, just like I said with the Air Force, that they were going to make the biggest Air Force in the world. We just got confirmation of that. I've been saying that for 2 years, that they're making things under the guise of satellite cover. So they're making things under covers. This is how they made the largest Navy in the world. One day it was like, oh, all of a sudden they're the largest Navy because they were building ships under special covers from the satellite. So you didn't even know they were building it. They manufacture things so fast. It's unbelievable. And imagine if they could shut down their whole country and all of the factories that were making knockoffs were then switched over to making military gear or military tanks or military jets or parts or electronics for those. Just a side thought. Who knows if it's anywhere close to true. One thing that is true, though, is one of the biggest risks to the United States and to many other countries in the world is an EMP or a CME from the sun, a Carrington level event happening. That is because a solar event will happen. It's a matter of when, not if. And if it happened right now, if we had a Carrington level event happen, we could have our entire grid go down and we would be screwed. That is because our grid is extremely vulnerable and they know this. DHS has put out warnings about it. They know that this is a problem, but for some reason, some are turning a blind eye to it. As far as being protected, well, the military buildings are protected. The government buildings are protected. So why aren't they suggesting that civilians protect their own selves? Well, EMP Shield is, and again, this is the same company that's outfitted agencies like DHS, DOD. This is a device that is an incredible device that can ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second of all three phases of an EMP and CME or a Carrington level event from the sun. So when it happens, it will end up grounding it before it can fry your car, your truck, your motorcycle, your boats, your RVs, your generators, gas generators, or solar in the case of the energy, or even your home. Not only that, they even make a ham radio device that can actually protect that. Anything that runs or can get you somewhere, if you want to get home to bug in or get out to bug out, then you definitely want to have one of these on there. Now they make the EMP Shield Micro. It's a quarter of the size and all of the same protection. And it can fit almost anywhere that the original couldn't. Both of these are now available, so go over to marfuglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. Again, that can protect you and ground that signal before it fries your device. marfuglenews.com/EMP. You'll get $50 off per device, and you'll be helping our independent channel. Again, we're not treated as a usual channel would be treated, and haven't been treated that way in years. So we appreciate all of your support. marfuglenews.com/EMP. All right. And pharmacy staff from CVS Walgreens stores in U.S. start a 3-day walkout. I'm not as crazy, not as freaked out about this as much as what something like this could turn into, which, by the way, I did get the message. Dingus Chubb, I saw you in chat before the show. Dingus Chubb, who works in the industry, I believe, said that they are coming, GM and other manufacturers in the union are coming to a tentative agreement deal, which might actually put the car manufacturers back on track. Now, it's still going to be behind. It's still going to hurt the economy, everything that has happened. But it sounds like the union might actually get some sort of agreement and some sort of deal out of that. So, Dingus, I did see your comment And just wanted to relay your message to the replay watchers and to the rest of the Foogle fam. So that's some great news from somebody in the industry saying that there is most likely a tentative deal, which I didn't see. I don't do we get that?
Angus said he's Ford, by the way.
Ford. I thought you said something about GM, or did somebody else say that? GM. Oh, he's Ford. I gotcha. So there may be some tentative agreement happening. But as far as the pharmacy, now just imagine, we already have issues with pharmaceuticals, including the fact that 97% of APIs as of a couple years ago were made entirely in China. The active pharmaceutical ingredients in what do you call them? Antibiotics were made in China. About 90% of the pre-made antibiotics are actually made. I think it was 93%. 93% and 97% or 91%. It's over 90% of our antibiotics are made in China, which is absolutely silly. And if you're new to this whole niche and you're finding all this out, it is a shocking fact that essentially if China wanted to, they could completely screw us on one of the most important medical pharmaceutical in the world, antibiotics that basically used for everything. The reason why most of us are still here. At one point in your life, you have most likely had antibiotics for something serious or something that would be serious if you didn't have them. And China is in control of almost all of them. Now you have this pharmacy walkout, which, again, this isn't a giant thing. I mean, it is a giant thing, but imagine this could be 10, 50,000 times worse. If this happened on a bigger scale, or if this ends up happening again or bigger, that would be bad. Dex, what are your opinions on as far as CVS, Walgreens, and I believe one other branch? They're doing this walkout.
Yeah, so they were talking about it a little while back, and here's the thing: is we don't really know how many are going to be affected. We do know that there's some states that, and the reason why we don't know is they're not union. So there's no like, hey, there's so many thousands of employees that are going to walk out, but they're estimating as many as 5,000 pharmacy workers could walk out across the 3 days. I think there was a 2-day strike back in September that was for some of the stores in like Kansas, but they're expecting potentially, and again, they don't know because this is over lack of support in the stores where these pharmacists are basically all alone. There's nobody there. Everything's backed up. They can't get everything done. They've got too many prescriptions piling up. So I guess the answer to that is let's walk out for 3 days and let them pile up even more, which will have an effect, obviously, to the company. And maybe get their attention. But they're saying this is going to be Pennsylvania, New York is what they're hearing rumors of, and maybe other states as well. It just depends on where the pharmacies are under a heavy load and they don't have staff, that these pharmacists are going to be walking out. So, I don't know how you can prepare for this if it happens to be in your neighborhood. I think if you needed your prescriptions, I would hope you already got them. And if you don't need them, hopefully you can wait 3 days plus however far their backlog is, because it sounds like the backlogs are pretty bad.
And of course, there's always the in-store other pharmacies. I don't know how many other people are jumping in on this, but if you already had your things sent to Walgreens and they're just not there, then that's a problem. Were you affected by this, or are you affected by this? Or if you're watching the replay, did this affect you? Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Make sure to go support all of our awesome mods: Bones, Chance, CJ Blaze, Jammer1, Lisa R. Hall, Rip Curl Readiness, RGL Harris, Trinity Red or Blue Pill, Hi Ho, Kermit the Frog here, and Wonderful Wages World. Again, make sure to go support them over on all of their links, from Linktrees to Amazon. Of course, you can get Chance Paladin's books over there. You can go to Jem's Linktree or Jammer's Twitter. All of them are there. marfooglenews.com/friends. All right. And then, Dex, let's go over the web only. We've got a lot of craziness.
Yes, we certainly do. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up the show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you to the webpage with all of the information we've covered today, and a yellow bar, as you see there on the screen, that says overflow. When you reach that point, That's the rest of the story. So all of the additional updates of what's going on with the conflict in the Middle East, especially how it's affecting places back, in other parts of the world, but even here in the U.S., like Cornell University having these major threats that have now been referred over to the FBI that they're now having to investigate. There was lists of people that they said they were going to go after, et cetera, et cetera. So this kind of stuff that's happened on the universities is kind of, we told you this last week. We said watch the universities. And here we have it expanding even more. So I think we'll have to pay attention to that a little bit more in the coming weeks because it's just going to get worse. The protests, in addition to universities, are happening in lots of other cities and locations. So those are always getting heated, or tend to get a little heated, and they're definitely divided. So that's covered. If you're looking for the information on that, an update on the number of times that the U.S. has been hit, the troops over specifically in Iraq and Syria. I think it's up to about 22 to 24 times we've hit, 24 times now in just 2 weeks that we've been hit by drone attacks, or at least targeted. Sometimes they don't actually make it in, drones or rockets. That is continuing to happen. So we're going to continue to monitor that and watch that. Of course, we got a little bit of coverage with the what's going on in the political spectrum, but also there's an interesting story here about the nuke. We talked about it last time, but it's obviously getting a lot of press right now. So if you want to read up on it, or if you missed it on our last show, that nuke that the U.S. wants to build, that's 24 times more powerful than the one we dropped in Japan. There's a link here. If you didn't catch that last time, we talked about it last week. Go take a look. And then in the political spectrum, there's everything from politics around the world, but mostly here in the U.S., and what's going on with new gag orders, what's going on with who's taking the stand, as well as a little bit of updates on what's going on with who's running and who's holding a lead. So, and by the way, this poor nurse, man, she got stuck in an MRI machine. It trapped her in a freak accident. So if you haven't heard about that, go take a look. And lastly, there was another person not going to say another person, but another potential event, it looks like, that could have happened, but they found the person, or they're claiming they found a person unalived at a park, which was a amusement style park in Glenwood Caverns in Colorado. And the guy was loaded up, vest on, all his gear, ready to rock and roll, and even had IEDs and other stuff in his car, all sorts of, like, the entire gamut of what you would have expected if one of these events had gone down, but they just found him perished. So we're going to see what comes of that. Sounds kind of fishy in many different ways. So we'll keep an eye on that story too, but you can get the current info right there on our website, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show, open up that show notes link down below in the description. It takes you right here.
Somebody said sounded stage. What was crazy is right before I saw that story, I saw this YouTube short of this guy, and it's just a clip in general. Maybe I saw it on Twitter. It was, I remember it being either YouTube Shorts or Twitter, swiping onto this video of this guy with a shirt over his head like Cornholio, and he went up to Hillary and he was saying something, and the FBI or the Secret Service immediately came over and said, "Let me give you your ID." And he says, "No, I'm not giving you my ID." He's like, "I'm not going to be a part of your count or whatever." And both of them are like, no, we don't need ID. No, we're done. We're good. We're walking away. And they like followed them down. And they're like, as they're walking away, they're like, "By the way, we're happy people. We're not depressed whatsoever." And I'm like thinking, gosh, what if whoever that was is the same guy in that clip? Then I would definitely suspect something. Thank you guys. Thank you, Be Real Beast. Nice to see you guys. Again, thank you everybody. Today, we're going to say a special thank you, and thank you to Antonio Naftali. Thank you. I appreciate your support. MX9, thank you. Thank you again. Brian Sabia, thank you so much for your support today. Carol, thank you. Zenwin AZ, thank you. Bunny Ha, I think the U.S. is going to offer these immigrant men come across citizenship to join our military. I feel will be very dangerous for us because they would be more likely to turn on us if ordered. That's a point. And then Bible Talk 777, money withstanding, I support. Oh, full stop. Bible Talk 777, thank you. And again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and everybody's entitled to support whoever they want to support. My point, though, is looking at the big picture. Whoever you support, you should at least recognize that this is going to get really bad. And then tell your family and friends you love them, says Carol. Hey, thank you, Carol. And Carol, I believe you were the top supporter tonight. Thank you, and thank you. Actually, you are number 2. So you and Larry are both top supporters tonight. This is one of the best news sources on the internet. No politics, no indoctrination, just a high-level 10,000-foot view of the goings-on around this planet of ours. Get informed, do your own research. Also, God wins in the end. Again, Larry, thank you. And I agree with that. And I don't think anybody is an expert because they read an op-ed. Exactly my point is we all just need to work together to try to find a better answer than what they're giving us. So thank your mods. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ilea. Thank you to Wages. Thank you to Rip Curl. Thank you to everybody. Thank you. Thank you to Chance and Jammer. You guys have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Love you, Dex. Thank you so much.
Much love. Great job, brother.
It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. And by the way, to somebody who said you were totally right, you spotted this in the background. I'll zoom in on this. This is probably the coolest thing ever. Oh, there's not much light on it. See that? Check that out. Is that not cool or what? It's a set of the alien people from They Live. I've had it for quite a few years. It's one of my favorite pieces of memorabilia. But yes, that is what was behind me. All right, you guys, have a good one. Good night. I'm an expert on the subject. Know everything that is poppin'. Wanna know anything on topic? I know it because I read an op-ed. I'm an expert on the subject. Know everything that is poppin'. Wanna know anything on topic? I know it because I read an op-ed. That is poppin'. Wanna know anything on topic? I know it because I read an op-ed. I'm an expert on the subject. Know everything that is poppin'. Everybody, they got stolen. They stole the love and they stole the heart that we used to have, and it's all in ours. Everybody goes in mine, and they all know yummy oh. Hey, thank you, Scooby Steve. Jen Ben, Shadowstar 7, thank you for subscribing. Two Tone, thank you for subscribing. Bearpaw 1111, thank you. Thank you, top supporters tonight. Thank you, Larry Gatlin. Larry Gatlin. Everybody all battling, staying above the water. Now we're all trying. And see helmet on that furnace paradox April sky. Thank you for your support. Brian If you gotta stick it, now you can't kick it, and everybody gonna try to end you. I don't have a button for continue. All they tryna do is end you. If you gotta stick it, now you can't kick it, and everybody gonna try to end you. I don't have a button for continue. All they tryna do is get it in you. If you gotta stick it, now you can't kick it, and everybody gonna try to end you. I don't have a button for continue. All they tryna do is get it in you. If you gotta stick it, now you can't kick it, and everybody gonna try to end you. Happy Halloween, happy Halloween tomorrow, and I sing Carmine. I said Carmine Bedrega. I'll beat up off Plaza. I see her thing, and I think I'm getting out a real kicky with a baby Abba, a nimmy immy amma, a shaver girl, and I'm in a yumma. Diane Whitlock, and a Cara, Alicia MD, and then the marrow, a bone marrow like the E in the bow. Love to the Mars, and we gotta see tomorrow. You know that man has on floor. I was walking down. Larry Gatlin.
Larry?
Larry. Larry, 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 Larry. Larry, Larry, Larry. Larry, Larry.